Okay, time for a quick breakdown on the target for 19th of April 2026. So tied for top 3 for the solution with 190 characters. A couple of the other solutions at 190 all use different methods. But I'll go over the one that I used. So this is what I've got. We've got 4 extra elements on the page, 2 paragraphs and 2 image tags. Each of these curves is a paragraph, and each of the images becomes those blocks. So I'm just going to show you an unmodified version here to see how that what applies to what. So basically everything wrapped within the HTML element. So this is targeting everything within HTML all gets that background, and then anything that's a descendant of HTML will have this 30 pixel border. 32Q is just a shorter way to write that. And we want to use this border basically to create this curved shape that we see over here. It's kind of that hook shape. So basically, let's just take a look here. So our paragraph, first paragraph, we're positioning it with margin to get where we want to be. It's got that margin applied. I'm just going to hide the images so we can see what's going on here quickly. Okay, there's our first paragraph. Okay, so the one rule that we have there is to remove the border on the left from it, so because we don't want that shape, and then obviously also set a border radius for that. So those are the 2 rules that are applied differently to the paragraph tags. You'll see that there's no height set on the paragraph, and this is a handy trick. If you have an element, see if I take this out, it'll collapse the height of the paragraph. But if you have an element inside of a paragraph and you give it some margin to space it out, you can actually give it height. So this is the image tag that's being targeted over here. And if we were to just leave that margin as only a negative on the top and bottom, then we wouldn't get the height on the paragraph. But we give it a little bit of margin at the bottom, and that gives the paragraph the height that we need. Okay, so I'm going to remove the opacity there on the image. The zoom is used over here basically because we want to increase the size of the border on the image tag, and using zoom is a much quicker way than doing I think it's basically a 40 pixel, or is it a 35? Yeah, basically you need a 35 pixel border, but instead of doing like border width, which is obviously longer, we use zoom. And I would usually just calculate that by saying like, okay, we need 35 and our base border is 30 pixels. That means we need to apply a zoom factor of that basically. So that's what I have over here. It's just rounded down. I usually start with a value that's like very accurate, and then I keep rounding until I get an error basically, and then go back to the last valid value. So for this it's 1.167. That ends up giving us the right size on that image element. That's it. That's our first shape. And then the second shape is the exact same thing, just flipped. So that's why we use scale over here. So if we took that scale, that's how it would look. So that's flipping it vertically and horizontally. And then instead of using margin to position stuff, which I usually do, over here it turned out to be shorter to just use a translate rule. And normally translate the 2 values that the shorthand has is the X value and Y value. I found out that if you omit the last value, it seems to just apply to the X axis, which is exactly what we want. Yeah, taking that all minified leaves us with this. That's it. There's your breakdown. Hope you're happy.